The Civic Life Youth Film Challenge is a film competition created to encourage students to make documentaries about issues which they are passionate about, with the goal of transforming them into well-informed and engaged citizens. This year, students across Connecticut were challenged with creating a short documentary about an issue which they thought should be discussed in the 2016 elections. Over 31 films were submitted, with students tackling a wide range of issues, including gun control, the heroin epidemic, Connecticut's achievement gap, and mental health issues. The films were judged by a jury with backgrounds in education, journalism, philanthropy, citizen activism, and filmmaking, including former CBS News anchor Dan Rather, who recorded a special message for the Civic Life Youth Film Challenge.
I loved all the films. Any one of the films could have been chosen a winner. What was impressive in the films is first of all, how well they were made. Secondly, how passionate the students had become about their individual subjects, whatever the film was about. And it just struck me what an effective way to teach civics, because here the students develop their own voice.
I am going to be very brief tonight because I think this work speaks for itself. It's my great honor to be part of this program. I never would have imagined documentary filmmaking as being such a powerful tool to teach civic participation. But I can see that the young people, and even those of us who are just witnessing these films, have learned a lot. The Civic Life Project is a very valuable service that builds on knowledge of democracy, elections, and issues that drive so much of public life.
I know from my own experience that in making documentaries, that one of the things, if a documentary is done well, that it fosters an ongoing conversation.
Teenagers do have a lot of knowledge.
How you form your political opinions, it's influenced by your education, your religion.
We had an hour-and-a-half interview in St. Francis. It was great.
Frankly, it would not have occurred to me to teach civics through the use of documentary film techniques, but it turns out whoever's idea that was a winner.
Everyone has unconscious bias, but when you act on that and that manifests in white girls only, or things that have happened in other times on this campus, that's when it becomes a problem for the mental safety of students of color.
If everyone is respectful of each person's individuality, no matter what it is, trans, straight, gay, whatever, then maybe we would start respecting the fact that those differences don't matter as much.
There's fear of bringing in people who are threats to public safety, who are threats to national security, terrorists and all of that. All of those are very reasonable, rational fears. However, that's why we need to have a functioning process that exists.
I think it's great when there's a room full of different people with different perspectives and experiences. I think that's what makes our country rich, and it's exciting. When I was in Poland, I didn't know that there was different cultures of people or different religions. I just thought things were one certain way. And then I came here, and there's so much to, like, the whole world is represented in this country, and it's really kind of special.
All of the students and all the teachers and the parents, all of you are to be certainly commended for the work you've done here. This last one, just letting people speak in their own words may be the most powerful thing we can ever do.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. We launched the film festival this year. This is the first festival that we're doing in collaboration with the Secretary of the State, Denise Merrill, and with the collaboration of the Bushnell Center for the Performing Arts. We are proud to be here to celebrate young voices and students who've stepped up to talk about issues that they feel our candidates should be addressing this year. To lead us through the evening proceedings is my partner in life and Civic Life co-founder, Catherine Tadji. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm very honored to be here tonight. So our first award tonight is for the best interview. The winner is from the Housatonic Valley Regional High School for their film Into Thin Air.
Hi, my name's Taylor Hofer, and our film Into Thin Air addresses the unspoken reasons why the eating disorder percentage has reached its highest peak. And that social media and advertisements are providing hurtful messages to those it's very near and dear to my heart. I myself struggle from an eating disorder, and it's still a very current issue today. With our interviews, our film allows the viewers to feel and sense the struggle the survivors had and just how dangerous the media can be. Thank you.
I would not eat breakfast, not eat lunch, come home from school at 2:30 and just binge. Eat anything that was in sight, and then I'd feel so guilty with myself that I just purge. And this was a daily cycle.
When you're in the eating disorder, you're numb, and you don't realize that it affects everybody around you and how much it affects you.
A lot of times if someone asks me what I do and I say, oh, I work with eating disorders, I generally get one of a couple answers. One of them is, oh, I wish I had that. And for the clients that I have seen and worked with, I would not wish that on anybody.
My name is Taylor Hofer, and I was diagnosed with anorexia and bulimia. My eating disorder probably started when I was about 13. I was going to a new school where I didn't know anyone, so I wanted to be the shiny new toy in school. I wanted to be skinny and perfect, but I didn't realize at the time that there is no such thing as perfect. I would follow pages on Instagram and Tumblr that provide you with pictures of people who are sick and unhealthy. And to me at the time, those people weren't sick and unhealthy, those people were my inspiration. I would spend hours looking at my phone, just hoping that I would look like those girls. Laying in the hospital bed, sick and underweight, I was still looking at the inspiration. I was still looking at the models and wishing I could be like them. The skinnier and more unhealthy I got, it made me think it would be easier to disappear into thin air.
Good evening, my name is Abby Kovacs, and this is Max Vatican and Gabriela Morales. Our film tells the story of 3 longtime Bridgeport residents who spent years of their life in various prisons around the country. Through their stories, we examined the subject of prison reform in the United States. We felt this was an important topic because America's incarceration and recidivism rates are significantly higher than those of other nations. The subjects in our film are successful today due to their own perseverance and not the so-called rehabilitation they were provided while incarcerated. Broken Chains was made to raise awareness of the weakness in our correction system and to explore options that would allow ex-convicts to successfully reintegrate into society.
I felt like making this movie has helped me educate those around me, and I think that that's very important. It's something that I've become very passionate about, this issue, over the year, and it's something that I will continue to be passionate about.
I've been locked up in about over 10 different states, and that's from Vermont all the way to Oklahoma City.
Over 300 million people are currently living in America, a number equivalent to 5% of the world's population. Despite this figure, we hold 25% of the world's prison population. Of the 2.4 million people incarcerated, the country currently displays a 50% recidivism rate.
My name is Roland Woodley. I'm from Bridgeport, Connecticut. I probably hustled for almost 20 years, and I really could tell you that what I actually gained that I still have now is the criminal record out of all that. Prison does not correct you. You must correct yourself, and they don't have it set up for you to correct yourself either.
Dan Barrett of the American Civil Liberties Union specializes in maximizing democratic control of government through open courts.
Prison started, a couple hundred years ago, and it had this view that it would help and rehabilitate people, and we think that we've kind of lost sight of that. We're now more into, as a government, more into warehousing people than actually getting them on a different path in life. So we'd like to get back to rehabilitation.
To be honest with you, it wasn't jail that changed me. It's when I came home and I realized things were different, the same but different. And I got back into the game.
The system is made up for you to fail, not for you to succeed. They want that cycle. They want you to come back around. They want to entertain that all the time because that's how they live. They want that overtime.
There's not a lot of rehabilitation in prisons, and we feel that just sticking people in prison and hoping that they come out better than they were when they went in is not effective.
My name is Carlos Cosme. I grew up in Spanish Harlem on 104th Street in New York City, Manhattan. I just started selling drugs, and it's funny because you start at the bottom, you get incarcerated, you come home, you do a little better. Then you get incarcerated, you come home, you do even a little better than that. And so the last time that you feel you're on top, and that's when they give you the most time. So it's just a weird game that we played.
Whether I become a full-blown activist about the topic, I haven't decided yet, but I will continue to show my film to people, next year, and continue to show its importance and show people how important it is to me personally.
I was 13-848-014. That's my federal prison number. I am now Roland Woodley, the father of Tatiana Woodley, the father of Kiaje Harper, the father of Noah Cabral Woodley. So who am I? I am someone that can see the light. I am someone who will make my light shine brighter.
My favorite, absolute, most inspiring moment, I've made it my senior quote because it was so important to me, was the moment that one of our interview subjects said that they can see the light and that they are someone who will make their light shine brighter, because I felt that was so inspiring to me, because the fact that they've been through all of this hardship and that no one gives them the credit that they were due, that they're still optimistic and that they're ready to make a change in the world that they live in.
We can't do it all alone. I'm still 157546 no matter where I go. I'm looking to get my full partner right now, but you know what? I'm not even looking for that. Because if I get it or I don't get it, it's not going to change who I am. It's not going to change where I'm going. I'm still going to be me. Doesn't matter to me. You could have me labeled 157546. I know who I am.
What I saw in the film is somebody is teaching them, or they're teaching themselves, some of the techniques we talked about. Gotta be prepared. No shortcuts in the preparation. And listening during the interview.
One of the most prolific schools was Classical Magnet School in Hartford, whose films took both first and second place. The second place film took on the very controversial topic of abortion and its impact on women.
We were inspired to do this topic because me and my partners felt like abortion was a very controversial issue in our society today, and we wanted to show how it's not just a black and white issue, that we should focus on the woman and how she's impacted rather than how we feel about what's the right thing. So I hope you enjoy.
She was sitting in the hospital hallway in her robe,
And there was an African-American woman at the other end of the hallway. She was a janitor, and she saw my mom crying, and she approached her and she lifted up her chin and said, "Do you want to have this baby?" And my mom just was taken back by this stranger, but she said that her eyes were like pools of water, and she was just really calmed by her presence, and she said yes.
In the research that we did, we collected quotes and information from various groups of women, and I distinctly remember and found that women feel mostly very alone, that it's feeling alone with the decision. That one woman described the day having been beautiful, and when she found out that she was pregnant, it seemed like the storm clouds came in and everything seemed very dark. And I think that the biggest psychological problem is feeling alone, that it's your decision and that you need to come up with a solution really quickly.
Before I went into doing our film, I was kind of like set on the two sides of abortion and how there could be only two sides, or how the world makes it seem that everyone has to make that decision of if they're pro-life or pro-choice.
I chose this topic because it's more about the woman and what she goes through. There's more to abortion than what people actually say and what they show.
Our most impactful interview that we conducted was with a woman named Naima Edwards. She's a woman that we found with one of my partners. Diavion Reeves knows her from church, so she found her. She called her up and asked her to do an interview with us.
Naima Edwards is an author who wrote a book of poetry about her decision to have an abortion and now has 4 kids.
My name is Naima Rose Edwards, and the book is entitled Chasing Forgiveness, Abortion, a Life Sentence. Women who have an abortion keep it silent. We are scared. There's the stigma that, oh, if you had an abortion, you're automatically callous, you're evil, you may even be known as promiscuous. That definitely wasn't me. So there's a lot of reasons. The guilt and shame we harbor makes us not want to tell anybody, so no one knew.
Hearing her story made me see like there's more to abortion than pro-life and pro-choice.
She's somebody that defies the sides of pro-life and pro-choice because she herself is both. So it was interesting to interview her and to see her side of the story.
I had a meeting with a stranger in a white coat who would tell me if there was a diamond in my soul. At 12:40, I found out about you, a piece of me, yet a foreigner, making my house your home. Mama doesn't quite know what she's going to do, but she loves you and always will. That's called 5 Weeks Along. A lot of times we, don't have the right support. And I think as far as if the country thinks about the nature of abortion as a decision made in angst, a decision made in turmoil, they would look more caring upon a woman instead of just looking at it as a black and white issue, and it really is not. And I think that there should be laws that are more grounded and wrapped around the woman's mental state, the agony that she's going through, and not the act itself.
In 2012, Dr. Hodgson published this.
Making this film with my friends, it made us become closer as women, and it helped us learn more about abortion since we all have different opinions on what it's about. The thing that should stand out to people is, I think it's basically all 3 of the interviews and how each different person had a different look onto abortion.
4 out of 10 women experience having an abortion in their lifetime. And there's so many reasons why we abort, and I'm one of those women who have had an abortion. And I think it's critical to get more out there about the woman and the decision she made and why she had to make the decision, rather than pro-life and pro-choice. It's more about pro-woman.
Every woman that experiences an abortion handles and copes with it differently.
Naima Edwards coped by writing a book of poetry and starting a family.
Christina Bennett's mom dealt with it by not going through with her abortion.
Dr. Hodgson told us that unplanned pregnancies are the entire community's responsibility.
It's easy to point a finger, but we're not talking, if an unplanned pregnancy happens and a baby is born, it's all of our responsibility. It's not just the mom's responsibility.
To see our film out there it makes us, it warms our heart because we can see that young people can make a difference and that we have a voice.
The award goes to T.J. Noel Sullivan of Classical Magnet School in Hartford.
Hi, everybody. Again, my name is T.J. Noel Sullivan. I'm a senior at Classical Magnet. And this is actually my second year with the Civic Life Project. Last year, I learned a tremendous amount in terms of how to make films and just every aspect of it. And so this year, I decided to try and take on a tougher topic, which was healthcare. And obviously, healthcare has so many aspects to it. But with my interviews with Dr. Robin Santiago, who's here tonight, as well as Johnny Johnson, I kind of tried to look at the most compelling stories on both sides of the debate.
I first chose the film because I thought not only is Obamacare and healthcare such a crucial issue in the upcoming 2016 election, but also it's an issue that really has affected just about everyone in America today.
Johnny has had healthcare for most of his life. However, after becoming unemployed, he found himself without coverage.
When I didn't have healthcare, I self-medicated. I had a stroke and 2 heart attacks without insurance.
In these instances, the advice of friends and the effectiveness of home remedies became matters of life and death.
Well, knowing that apple cider vinegar and honey can help me because it thins your blood, which it did. So as a stroke was coming down my right side and coming down my right side, I had taken the apple cider vinegar real quick, and the stroke they opened up my vessels and thinned my blood, and it's gone. And then I had my first heart attack. I had the first heart attack again. I felt the pain. I don't like pain. I felt it, and I quickly went to apple cider vinegar and honey.
After a third close call just days later, Johnny decided to look for help from Obamacare. Thanks to the expansion of eligibility, Johnny was one of 200,000 people in Connecticut to receive coverage under Medicaid.
I joined Civic Life actually last year in 2014. And it was a great experience where I learned a lot about documentary filmmaking and how to make a good finished product. Before I tried to do some video production, but it was very amateur looking. And Civic Life did a great job in terms of teaching me how to make some really professional looking videos and setting up interviews and making a finished product that really looks professional.
And so I came here thinking that I had the flu, not knowing that when they gave me the diagnosis on July 6, 2015, that I had leukemia, cancer, AML.
When he was admitted, Johnny was in the worst condition of all the patients in the cancer unit. He immediately started an aggressive chemotherapy treatment.
Do you know Muhammad Ali knocked George Foreman out in the 8th round? Well, I did 8 rounds of chemo, over 823 hours of chemotherapy.
After his 8th round, Johnny was declared 99.99% cancer-free. He had beaten leukemia. He now is investigating getting a transplant to help his body recover from the effects of chemotherapy.
Without Obamacare, without any insurance, for me to even think about a transplant would have been probably not in my thoughts at all.
And so I did a lot of interviews that I ended up not using. And finally, when I found Johnny Johnson through the St. Francis Media Relations Department, and I sat down for his interview, I knew right away that was the interview I was going to use for my film, because his story was just such a moving one. I think one of the biggest benefits of making these documentaries is you talk to so many people, and when it's numbers or facts, it's very easy to dismiss them and say that that might not be a valid point. But when you're talking to people face to face and you hear really how these different policies have affected their lives, I think you get a much different perspective, and it doesn't just become a number or a statistic. It really becomes a real person's story, and so you have a lot more. Those numbers have a lot more weight when you actually meet the people that they represent.
For the millions of Americans like Johnny that receive coverage under the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare may have literally saved their lives.
I'm so proud of the work that the students did this year. They are magnificent filmmakers and really finding stories that are powerful. So I hope you had a good time. Thank you.